Welcome to the Evolving Healer. I'm C.Metoyer, your host. A little bit about myself. I'm currently a graduate student on the journey of healing myself while helping others heal along the journey. A little bit about the podcast. We'll be sharing real life experiences while you're going on your journey and while I'm going on my journey, being true, authentic, and pure. Welcome to the Evolving Healer. Again, I'm C.Metoyer, your host, a mental health graduate counseling student on the journey of healing, learning, and becoming. So today's episode is a little different. Today I'll be announcing something that's near and dear to my heart, a project that I've been putting off time after time after time. But this year, God has been tugging at my spirit and my soul that it's time to share your story and be an impact. So today I'll be introducing my book that will be published here shortly. And the title of my book is Pieces of Me, a memoir of DNA, destiny, and becoming whole. A little about the book. Imagine growing up loved, safe, and secure, yet feeling some things were off your entire life. What happens when a DNA test exposes a secret everyone else already knew? Pieces of Me is a powerful memoir about identity, healing, and the freedom found in forgiveness. Sometimes the hardest person to discover is yourself. And that's a little bit about the book, Pieces of Me. So we'll dive into why I decided to write this book. What readers should this book be attracted to? Things of that nature. And overall, what did my journey of forgiveness and healing look like? So, writing this book is something that I've been wanting to do the past 2 years. But this year it's just been just like the podcast. It's always been something that I wanted to do. I knew my purpose. I knew my why. So I feel like it's the perfect timing to publish this book. And I never know who this book is going to impact or, really help along their own journey or their own testimony. So I feel like this book gave me a sense of clarity and peace. It allowed me to not only, have peace and clarity with the situation or the circumstances, it allowed me to close the door on a chapter and really close the door on something that brought me deep agony and pain overall and really walk into my destiny and accept the reality and the truth of things. It allowed me to reflect over the beginning to now and truly understand that in life, everything happens for a reason. It may not happen when we want it to happen, but it always happens in perfect timing. So this session is very vulnerable. It's sacred, and it truly represents a chapter I never thought I'd be sharing to the public because overall, this was a chapter of my life that I was kind of embarrassed by. I had a lot of anger built up. I was dealing with many intrusive thoughts of what people would think, how people would feel. And I believe that sharing my story and my testimony is important. It shows a sense of clarity, strength, and it allows individuals that are in the middle of their storm to know that peace always comes in the middle of the storm, in the chaos. So understanding what made me finally, write this book was it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of me just sitting down like, hey, this is your story. This is your testimony. This is who you're becoming. This is part of your journey. So I had to sit back with that and really just reflect like, what is holding you back from wanting to share your testimony? Because what you had to endure, many people probably would have, still been angry to this day. Many people would have still been dwelling on the situation. And in life, we have to realize like we can't go back and change the past, but we can pick up those pieces and move forward and allow that situation or circumstance to really mold us and shape us into a better version of ourselves. And that's what I had to do. It was like, you know, it's no need. I can't change what happened, but I can change my future. I can change that. So I feel like it was important for me. The past 2 years, I've been dwelling on this book ever since, the situation occurred 3 years ago. I've been like, okay, God gave me the vision, so why not fulfill that vision? It's a reason he continues to tug at my spirit and give me the vision, because you never know where your story or your testimony may take you. You never know who it's going to impact. You never know who you're going to help along their own chaotic life. And I feel like a lot of people may feel some type of way about the book. And in a sense, the book isn't a pity party. It isn't a pointing the finger type of game or anything. It's just, accepting the reality that in life, everyone have their imperfections. And we have to learn to see things from various points of views. And I feel like that's what this season and this chapter of my life has taught me, that you can't always see things from your point of view. You have to be understanding, receptive of how other individuals may feel, or what was their reasoning behind keeping the secret, or whatever the case may be. But I feel like sharing my story and my journey is part of me becoming who God is calling me to be. And my book is about the truth, the reality, the healing, and just me becoming whole overall. Like, growing up, I never lacked. I always had that love, that support, that compassion. I thank God for my mother and my dad. Big Chris did a great job raising me by all means. So when this chapter of my life opened, I had a lot of thoughts of what would happen. How would such and such feel? Would such and such turn their back on me because now my family is expanding? And in that moment, I had those thoughts, but guess what? If they turned their back on me or acted any differently towards me, they never truly cared about me as a person. They never truly loved me as a person. So I had to understand, like, it's okay for you to know the truth. This is your story. This is your life. You deserve to know the truth. And at the end of the day, when things did transpire, once the truth did hit the surface, it was jaw dropping for myself. Entering the DNA center, going there, getting that little cheek swab, this, that, and the third. It was like, okay, what is this? 21 years later. And for myself, probably like 3 to 4 days later, the clinic called, and it was like 99.9%. I was at work, working in the Woodlands at Verizon. And my heart instantly dropped. I was like, what? I knew it, but, when the truth or the reality of things begin to set in, it don't always bring you an instant sensation of peace. So that day I went home, kept looking at the papers. I'm like, man, this is like, I felt every emotion you could feel. I was angry. I was sad. I began to go down this dark rabbit hole of depression, because it was like, all my life, this is what I knew. So now I'm having to redefine my story. I'm having to learn new people. I'm having to step out of my comfort zone and build new relationships. But in that journey, it was like, man, what is it? Like, I knew it, but it's just like I couldn't accept that reality in that moment. So I kept it to myself for many days, because I was fearful of how would my family react? How would my parents react? How would my friends react? And overall, I had to sit with, it's not about none of that. It's about you knowing your truth. And in that moment, it was like, wow, I was very confused. I allowed my emotions to run rapid. Many days I sat in my room crying, because I'm like, it's like I'm going through identity crisis. This is who I've known for 21 years. Now I'm having to redefine myself, relearning, reclaim my destiny, reclaim my joy, my peace. And it was like, what do I do in this moment? What do I do in this space? And in that moment, it was like, okay, how do I approach my mother? How do I approach my dad who raised me? What do I do? Didn't know what to do. But it was okay in the end. But in that moment, that's what I felt. So for myself, like it took a lot of me really sitting back in my thoughts, like, okay, hey, I'm I have to meet new family members. At first I thought it was a bad thing having another dad in my life. And it was like, okay, he haven't been here for 21 years. So I resented him in a sense. And I was like, what I need you in my life for? You haven't been here for 21 years, so there's no need for me to allow you in my life. And I had to take a step back and realize, like, if I love God and I trust God the way I do, I wouldn't act that way towards him. So in February of 2021, um, for my 21st, no, 22, for my 21st birthday, I spent my 21st birthday with him and my siblings. Mind you, I was already close to my oldest sibling, my sister. So he had been trying to connect with me and get to know me and things of that nature, but it was like, why? And I had to put my pride to the side and stop allowing the outside world and those around me, dictate like, hey, he this person, he this, he's that. And I had to see him for myself. Like, yes, he has a rap history. Yes, he has a past. But in life, we have to understand that people's past, people can change with time. And you never know that you coming into someone's life, how you can impact or change their life. And on this journey the past 3 years, it has been a beautiful story. I have grown closely with my siblings. I have grown closely with him. And it was a lot of deep conversation, deep thoughts between the two of us and just us learning each other and understanding one another, sharing past history and past stories. Like it was a lot of that. And to this day, things that he did in the past and things that old habits, some of those habits he no longer does. And one day we was talking and he stated like, if it wasn't for you being in my life, I'd be back in the streets doing what I was doing before. So in that moment, it was a great feeling for myself because it was like I kept blocking you out, not allowing you in my life. And because I didn't know how to maneuver through that, because I had a dad who did a damn great job raising me, taught me everything I know from finances to how to be a man, how to take care of my house, everything. So major shout out to my dad, Chris, like major shout out to my mom for holding me accountable, holding me to a standard and making sure that I was a well-rounded individual. And not only that, teaching me the skills of life and how to be successful. And I'm grateful for this journey of becoming a new version of myself and redefining who I am and redefining my story, because what my mom and my dad who raised me taught me, all of my parents play a pivotal role in my life. So one may be able to help me with this part of my life. Another one may be able to help me with this part of my life. So each one of them play a different role. And I had to realize, like, God, what are you doing here? And God showed me that it's okay. The man who raised you will forever be your dad. That's not going to change. The family you grew up with, that's forever your family. You're just expanding. I'm enlarging your territory. I'm allowing more people that love and care about you to walk into your life. I'm not going to do anything that's going to hurt you or hinder you in this season. And I was like, okay, God, I trust you. Like, and I've seen it. Growing relationships with my siblings. All my life, I grew up as an only child. So to now having 4 siblings, it's a blessing. We have a great relationship. We may not talk every single day, but when we do talk and we know one call, that's all. We're here to support each other no matter the circumstance or the situation. We're going to lift each other up. But this season taught me, like, you have to trust God even when it don't feel good. Because in my spirit, God just was shaking up everything in my life. And I'm like, God, why me? And I had to understand that sometimes in life, God reveals things when we need it the most. And I'll never forget that year when all of this had transpired. That was one of the toughest years of my life. I had lost my grandfather, my dad, Chris. I had lost his dad. My grandfather played a pivotal role in my life. And a lot of people don't know the impact that caused me. That's when I started to seek therapy. That's when I started to seek help. Because I felt depressed. I felt lost. And in that moment when all of this transpired, I didn't know what to do, what to say, how to feel. And it was just like, if my grandpa was here, he would be doing this. He would tell me this. He would encourage me. He wouldn't want me to feel like this. So what do I have to do to pick myself up and keep pushing? And it was a lot of me questioning God and losing my faith. Because it was like, why are you taking me through this? It wasn't a good feeling for myself. But as time progressed, I turned to God and I allowed him to lead me through this journey. And I had to get on my knees many nights and pray and ask God for clarity. Give me the strength. Give me the peace that my heart desires. Allow me to get through this season. Allow me to continue to have a strong foundation, a strong support system, oh God. And it was just me understanding that God often sheds light on situations in moments where we need it the most. And I had to understand, me going into being a therapist, writing this book was everything. It's important for me to be vulnerable, me to be transparent, me to be open. This allows my clients to see that everyone has a walk of life. It may not look the same. It may not feel the same. We may not cope with it the same way. So it allows me to be transparent with my clients, me to allow my clients to realize that I'm human as well. I have emotions. I may be helping you along your journey, but guess what? I have my own journey, my own walk of life. So I feel like vulnerability and transparency isn't a sign of weakness. It's necessary. And, this book has been, it's been a journey writing this book this year. I most definitely enjoy writing this book because it allowed me to reflect back on who I was and who I'm becoming. It allowed me to reflect on where this book would take me. It allowed me to see things from various points. Like growing up, when I first encountered this situation, I had resentment towards both of my parents because my mom and my pops, like, it was like, okay, Mom, why did you keep me away from him? Why did you decide that I wasn't strong enough to deal with, the situations that he had himself in? And I told him when we first met, I said, I really don't want anything to do with you because you didn't fight to be in my life. You trying to be in my life 21 years later. I'm grown. My dad done raised me. I have his first, middle, last name, everything. And nothing's gonna change about that now that you're in my life. I'm gonna forever carry that name because that's who I am. That's what made me to who I am today. So this journey has seen many ups and downs. And it came with many tough conversations. It came with many emotions. It allowed me to understand that me sharing my testimony, me sharing my story, me sharing what did it take for me to get through this journey. I say all of this to say, once you close that chapter and begin to walk in your destiny and your purpose, you become whole. You become a new version of yourself. And for myself, I had to realize that I couldn't go back and change what my mom did. I couldn't go back and change what my pops did. I couldn't change all of the he say, she say things. So in that moment for myself, I had to do what was best for me in that season. And that was going to the DNA center, getting the truth and the reality. I can't go off of, oh, you look just like such and such. But growing up, I always got, oh, you look like such and such. Or people would make subliminal jokes saying I don't look like my dad, Chris, not knowing the impact that it was causing me. So as I grew up and grew older and wiser, I'm like, I'm not going to continue to live with the unknown. I'm not going to continue to live in chaos and confusion. I'm not going to continue to live with, oh, yeah, I told this person or that person. Because it's different ones in the family that would say, oh, yeah, we been on this. Okay, well, why you wasn't man or woman enough to speak up? And it was just like, enough is enough. So I stepped out and I took that step. And I'm grateful and glad that I took that step. And I had to realize that this was a stepping stone for me to let go of my past, to move forward. And after, all of this, it took a lot of me going to therapy, me staying in my word with God, me trusting God in the process, because even after the reality of everything in November, the next month I was graduating with my associates. And it was very awkward because I had all three sides of my family there. My mom, my dad, Chris, my pops, Ronnie. And it was just like, this awkward. This is different. But one thing I can say is, and one thing I want to continue to move forward is, I don't want anyone to feel any type of way about my journey or my path of life. What happened has happened. We can't go back and change it. All we can do is move forward and accept the reality and the truth. In life, we have our own imperfections. We all make mistakes. And in that season, it taught me that talking to my therapist, I had to realize, like, hey, maybe my mom was protecting me from something. She didn't want me to grow up to be who he is or who he was because of his past history. And I understand that now that I'm older. And for him, it was like, you didn't want to step on anyone's toes because my mom was now married and this and that. But at that time, it was like, nobody fought for me to know the truth. Nobody fought for me to know who I really am. But I had to see that from another point of view and understand that healing doesn't always happen quickly or swiftly. It's a process. Becoming typically takes some time. And sometimes, it's harder for us to define who we are and who we're becoming. And I'm truly thankful for this journey, this process. It's created a wiser, more loving, more caring, more compassionate version of myself. And I had to understand that God never makes any mistakes. God knew what I needed when I needed. And everything happens right on time. And I had to accept that it's okay to feel embarrassed. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel all of those emotions. And honestly, that season I felt a deep agony. I felt so lost. I felt alone. And it was a lot of me learning, how do I navigate this? What do I need to do to get out of this? And understanding that everything takes time. But to close out today, I thank God for my mom, my dad, Chris, my pops, who has walked into my life, my grandmother, Teresa, my nanny, Joyce, and as many others, my cousins, my friends, everyone that has supported me along this journey and accepted my truth and my reality. Know that I love you, I care about you all, and that it's okay. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. And it's time for us to continue to heal, continue to become who God has called us to be, and understanding that your walk of life and my walk of life is totally different. I know I am courageous. I know I am bold. And that everything that you have taught and instilled into me, I will continue to take that in my life and make it into my own. I will continue to work to be the best version of myself. I thank God for this chapter of my life, allowing me to grow and expand and have more loving and caring individuals in my life. Again, guys, thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Evolving Healer. The book will be launching January 1st. I will be posting my website and things of that nature so we can start pre-ordering this month. Also, we'll have podcast merch launching January as well. So stay tuned, guys. Take care of your mind, body, and soul.